Welcome back for another dive into the Bangtan universe wormhole. Today our subject is right here in the name of our channel. You might have wondered why we gave ourselves this name, and you're about to find out. We believe wormholes are an essential part of the Bangtan universe, that some characters have already seen them and used them, and that wormholes will be crucial to the next era of the BU. Join us as we dive into the many wormholes of the BU and predict how they'll come into play in the next era. But before we dive in, please take a moment to click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on future updates. Now let's get started. First, here's a quick explanation of what a wormhole is and how it can be used. You might have watched a scene like this one from the movie Interstellar, in which a character explains wormholes using nothing but a pencil and paper. You start by marking two separate points on a piece of paper, point A and point B. It seems like the quickest way to get from point A to point B is to travel in a straight line, but that's not the case. You can punch a hole through the paper and connect the 2 points directly. Well, a lot of very famous astrophysicists, including Einstein and Stephen Hawking, say it might be possible to punch a hole through the fabric of time and space, just like the character in Interstellar punched a pencil through paper. The result would be a tunnel, a wormhole, connecting two distant points in space, or maybe in time, or maybe even in different universes. That's right, these hugely respected astrophysicists believe in a multiverse. They have different ideas about how parallel universes come about, but we'll go easy on the science and just touch briefly on one particular theory. It says that every time an event can have more than one outcome, a new universe is created for each of those outcomes. You can see how this theory relates to the BU. Think about all the time loops Seokjin created while he was trying to save his friends. What if every failed loop still exists as a parallel universe? This is where real-world wormhole theory becomes Bangtan universe fact. Or at least my associate and I think it's fact. We believe there were just too many wormholes in BTS's material for us to ignore them. You might have noticed a few wormholes yourself, especially in the Japanese video for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. But BTS also played with wormholes in their VCRs, in the notes, in the mini books that come with their albums, and even in their onstage performances. Sometimes these wormholes look like spirals, and sometimes they look like other sorts of portals, anything that might transport characters across space and time. We can't include all the wormhole references in this video, but here are a few of the best ones. 3 wormholes in the Japanese video for Blood, Sweat, and Tears are pretty easy to spot. Jungkook flies through one after drinking from the glass Namjoon offered him. 2 different versions of Jimin see each other and one flies backwards through a wormhole, and Seokjin stands on a tiny island looking into a wormhole as his island tips over and we apparently go through the wormhole into a scene of Taehyung. But there's a 4th wormhole scene in this video, which you might have missed because it's so subtle. We'll slow it down to help you see it more clearly. Focus on the hole in the sweater over Seokjin's heart. Did you catch it? A wormhole goes straight through his heart. Now let's move on to the Serendipity MV, where Jimin falls through one wormhole that leads into another one, which spirals into a close-up of his eye. The same sequence shows up in a few VCRs where the wormhole sometimes spirals into Jungkook's eye instead of Jimin's. This happens in DNA. In fact, of all the members, Jungkook is the one most closely associated with wormholes. During the 2019 muster, which is important to the BU for many reasons, we saw several members of BTS travel through wormholes on their way to the magic shop. At the 2017 Mama Awards, BTS opened their performance with a VCR featuring several wormholes. They included a wormhole as part of their stage design, and they officially titled this performance BTS Beyond Wormhole. Even a couple of BTS's biggest sponsors have gotten into the wormhole game, basically creating long-form videos that just happen to be advertisements for their products. Hyundai commissioned a theme song for their Ioniq brand and had an official video made. And as you can see from this clip, the video features wormholes within wormholes, just like in Jimin's Serendipity video. Then there's this clip from a commercial for the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4. Not only does it include several spiraling wormholes, but the backing music is yet to come, hinting perhaps that wormholes like this are yet to come in the BU. Still, the most intriguing references to wormholes comes from a note in one of the mini books included with BTS's albums. In case you're not aware, the mini books include duplicates of some of the material from books 1 and 2 of the notes, but they also do more than that. They give us alternate versions of some notes, and they include special notes that can't be found anywhere else. I'm about to quote one of those. It's a note from a mini book included with Map of the Soul 7. I walked toward where everyone was gathered. What was going on? It seemed like the first time I'd seen so many people gathered in a place that wasn't school or an amusement park. The sound of their conversation was scary. "What is this? I can't live like this. I'm so scared," someone said as they passed. I slipped between people's legs and made my way to the front. I was afraid, but also curious. It was a huge hole. The hole drilled down into the earth. They called it a sinkhole. I moved a little closer. I wanted to see what was inside the hole. Even though it was midday, I couldn't see inside. All I could see were tree roots and things like that emerging from the mud where it had caved in. I took another step forward. "Be careful," someone shouted. The toe of my sneaker went into the hole. The dirt collapsed and my balance wavered. I took a step back in shock. At that moment, I saw something glittering sharply inside the hole. It seemed at once like light and like another hole inside the hole. This sinkhole is almost certainly a wormhole, because Jungkook saw a light at the far end and a hole within a hole. That's just what we saw in the Serendipity video. And here's something else to consider. If you compare Jungkook's description of this event with his undated epilogue at the end of the Notes Book 2, you'll find some remarkable coincidences. We quoted that whole entry in Part 2 of our Bangtan Universe summary, so we won't repeat it all here, but we'll requote a few relevant sentences. "I was floating in space. There was a big hole below me, a huge, bottomless, gaping hole. I looked up again. I saw the moon at a faraway distance. I was floating somewhere between the moon and the hole. And suddenly I had a thought. That is not the moon. That's a big hole in the sky." Now keep in mind that we don't have a clear idea of what's happening in this note, or when it's happening, or where. But the very fact that the note is undated makes us wonder. Maybe Big Hit wants to keep us in suspense, but maybe it's undated because the scene takes place inside a wormhole. Time would be meaningless in there. Alternately, Jungkook could have just exited a wormhole and entered a parallel universe which is so strange that he can't make any sense of it. Now keep in mind that what I've given you are just a few of the many, many wormholes we spotted in BTS's MVs, VCRs, and other material. There are just too many in total for us to ignore. Based on all the information we've gathered from trustworthy sources and all the brainstorming we've done between ourselves, we've come up with some predictions about how wormholes will affect the next stage of the BU. We believe there's an actual physical wormhole hidden in Songju, and that both the cat and the human villains are trying to find it. Our first piece of evidence for this theory is the note we already quoted, the one in which Jungkook saw a sinkhole when he was a child and believed he was looking at a hole within a hole. Keep in mind this note isn't connected to any of the other notes in the BU. It's only in that one mini-book. It also isn't like any of the other notes. It doesn't have any connections to them. It practically screams hidden spoiler. And since Jungkook saw light at the bottom of the sinkhole and believed there was another hole at the bottom, it seems logical that he was peering into another world through a wormhole. The next piece of evidence is the nightmare Taehyung describes in Notes 2. He dreamed about Seokjin looking down on Sungju and then destroying both it and the world. We quoted that dream in full in part 2 of our summary of the Bangtan universe, so we won't repeat it here. We'll just point out that the cat, which was controlling Seokjin at that point, apparently believes Sungju has special significance. It's a point from which the cat can destroy the world. The wormhole in Sungju might allow it to bring things into this world to destroy it, or it might allow it to drain things out of the world. Whatever the case, something about Sungju makes it unique. Finally, there's the redevelopment project. The cat is secretly in charge of the whole thing, as we pointed out in the second half of our BU summary video. It's digging up half of Sungju. But why? Well, because sinkholes are found in the ground. Right now, it must be buried under something. But even the cat isn't sure exactly where it is yet. We can't be sure where it is either, but we know some of the places the cat is targeting. Namjoon's container village, Hosik's orphanage, and Yoongi's workroom. The wormhole could be buried under one of those places, but the redevelopment committee scheduled whole sectors of Sungju for demolition, so we may not have all the information we need yet to find the sinkhole's real location. And there's one more construction site in Sungju that we have to consider. It gets mentioned a lot in both books of the notes, and it was also shown in the BTS Universe game. We're talking about the massive project going on next to the hospital. Jimin was hospitalized next to this project for many years. Taehyung's father was employed at that construction site. Yoongi got a job at that construction site during the loop described in Notes 2. And the construction company in charge of this project is the same company that was slated to oversee the Sungju redevelopment project. So basically, the whole wormhole/sinkhole could be associated with the notorious Sungju redevelopment project, and it almost certainly has a personal connection with at least 4 of our 7 heroes. That's if it exists, of course, but we think it does. And we'll present more evidence in future videos to show you how time travel and wormhole travel connect to other mysteries of the current and future BU. This is still just the tip of the iceberg, or the rim of the wormhole if you prefer. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out as we travel even deeper into the wormhole. And let us know what you think about our theory. Does it make sense to you? What questions do you have? We can't wait to hear more from you.